Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to talk about our new set of vocabulary words that we are going to work on for this unit, and we are going to eventually read the story Vote together. So, our first word is going to be announced. Announced. So, for example, in using it in a sentence, Miss Parks announced the winner of the contest. Announced. So I'm going to count to maybe 30, and I want you to turn to your neighbors and try to see if you can use this word in a sentence yourself. Ready, go. Okay, I'm not going to do 30, just 15, but hopefully you were able to do it. So let's take a little bit more of a look at this word. So, the definition: to announce. If you announce something, you told people about it. So, for example, Miss Parks announced the winner of the contest. So, you can always ask, right, when has someone announced your name? For maybe attendance or things like that. I've certainly announced a couple of your names, but very good. Announced. Let's look at our next word. Elect. Elect. So for this term, I'm going to use it in the sentence as the students voted to elect a new class president. Elect. And if you notice, that first E here is elect because it is an open syllable. Therefore, it makes a long E sound. Elect. So let's take a look at this term. So to elect is to choose by voting. So to participate in a vote and elect someone for a certain position. So an example is the students voted to elect a class president. And I want to ask you, I'm going to count to another 15. Talk to your neighbor and think about what another word for elect might be. If you said vote or choose, those are both really good answers. Pick, select, things like that. Okay, our next word. Oh, geez. Decisions. Decisions. Nick made 2 decisions about what to eat for breakfast. And let's take a look. So, to make a decision, you make a choice. It's very similar to electing. Electing is more so voting. To make a decision, you make a choice. So, 2 decisions that you make every day. Let's think. For sure, I would hope at least to brush your teeth in the morning. That's a very good decision to make. And to do your homework. That's another really good decision to make that I hope you all make. Let's look at our next word. That is independent. Independent. It's good to be independent and to do things on your own. So that's giving us a hint about what it's going to mean to do things on our own. You do things for yourself. To do things for yourself, that's your definition here. An example is it's good to be independent and do things on your own. So a question you might ask yourself is, how can you be more independent at home? So let's talk to our neighbors. How can you be more independent? I'm going to give you another 15 seconds. So a good way for you to be independent at home is maybe to do your chores without your parents having to ask, or maybe the night before school getting your stuff ready on your own if you don't do that already, making sure your uniform is ready, making sure your backpack is packed, maybe packing your own lunch, just kind of helping your parents out, being more independent. Next word. Convince. Convince. So Julia's mother tried to convince her to play soccer. Convince. So let's take a look at this routine. To convince, it's to cause someone to believe or to do something. So maybe someone's tried to convince you to do something before and you've given it a shot or not. And sometimes this can be bad things, right? If someone convinces you to do something bad, like, hey, I dare you to get a cookie before dinner. Just grab one, just one cookie. What's it gonna do to you, right? And your mom's not gonna find out. No. Don't let people tempt you. But also, convincing can be a good thing, right? They might convince you, kind of like Miss Moore convinced us to try that smoothie even though there was spinach in it, and a lot of us didn't want to, and it ended up being really good, right? So convincing can also be a good thing. Let's look at our next term. Government. Government. Our government makes laws. Government. So a government is people who guide a city, state, or country. So it's not just one person. It's not a thing. I mean, well, it is a thing, but it's a group of people who make up a thing, okay? It's an entity in our world. And like I said, there's different types of government. There's government that guides the city, government that guides the state, and the country. So they make laws. So maybe you might ask yourself, turn to a neighbor, think of a law that our government has made. An example might be you have to wear your seatbelt in the car, right? That is a law that we have to follow. It's a law that protects the safety of ourselves and of others. So if you don't wear your seatbelt in your car, you will get a ticket, right? That's a good law. Okay, another example. Candidates. Andrew is one of 4 candidates for class president. Candidates. So the definition is candidates are people who seek an office or honor. And what they mean by seek an office or honor is they want to become a member, or they want a certain position, okay? Think about it that way. They want a position within either the government or some sort of system. So they are candidates and they want people to vote for them. So what are some things that candidates do before an election? Does anybody know? Why don't you talk to a neighbor? So before somebody is elected, remember that's another term, before they are given this point of power, what are some things they do? What would they do before an election? If you wanted people to vote for you, what would you do? I'll give you another couple of seconds to talk with your neighbors. Go. So if you said I would talk to people, I would convince them to vote for me, those are good things, right? You might make promises, some silly promises, maybe like there'll be recess for the whole entire day and only math on Fridays. You might try to convince people to vote for you that way, and make promises. You might make posters in the election now. If some of you ever watch the news or with your parents, there are commercials and billboards and all kinds of things that candidates do before an election so that people will vote for them. That's candidates. Our next term is estimate. Sam tried to estimate or guess the number of coins he had. Estimate. So, to estimate is to guess, and a guess an amount, okay? So, what does it mean to estimate something? Well, we just learned, right? To estimate something, it's to guess. So, if, let's say, you're at a store shopping for a new bed, you might estimate, will this fit in my bedroom? Is this too big or too small to fit in my bedroom? You might even estimate with clothing. If you're not sure what size you are and you don't feel like trying a shirt on in the bed, in the bedroom, in the changing room, the dressing room, you might look at it and say, that'll fit me, or that looks too small, right? It's kind of like to guess, to estimate. And those are our 8 words. Okay, so we've got announced, elect, decisions, independent, convince, government, candidates, and estimate. So now you guys are going to move on. You have your flashcards. Make sure you make them correctly. Remember, we apply a little bit of glue, connect the corners, and cut them out. We'll have 8 flashcards, and those go and live in our red folder, which means you can get rid of the old flashcards if you have any from last unit and replace them with these. And then we'll use these to make our picture dictionaries. And don't forget to study them whenever you get a chance.